Hey guys, Jacob here from Venture Addicts, and in today's tutorial, we're going to recreate Pete Davidson's intro from his latest Netflix special. I'm a really big fan of minimalist and somewhat complicated animation, and I just felt like this was the perfect, simple little intro that maybe you want to use on one of your projects. So let's jump into After Effects and we'll go recreate it. Start a new composition. I'm going to do 1920 by 1080. 30 frames a second and 7 seconds long. Next, we'll go up to the rectangle tool, click that, and we're going to fill this in with nothing. And then fill in the stroke with white. And we're going to set the stroke width to 4 pixels. Next, just go over to the rectangle tool again and double click it. And it should create a box the size of your comp. If we go down to the arrow here and hold down Control, click it a couple times and everything will pop up. And what we want to do is get to the size, unlink the size, and we're going to set this to 620 by 76. Next, we're going to go down to about 20 frames in the timeline and hit the stopwatch to start a keyframe for the size. Go back 20 frames to 0 and let's set the 620 to 0. And now you should have an open and close box just like this. With the keyframes open, let's highlight both of them. Hit F9, or you can do the keyframe assistant for easies. And we're going to go to Keyframe Velocity and we're going to set both of these to 100. Hit OK. And now it should be a very sharp transition like this if you go to the graph editor. So if we play it back, it should look something like this. And go ahead and just add that motion blur. Next, we're going to write our text. So go up to the text button and just kind of drag it across like this. And we're going to be using Gotham Black today. I will put it in the description and a link. Set it to Gotham Black, regular. We're going to do 70 text. Make sure everything's kind of default, 0, auto. And I'm just going to write what is in the special. So make sure it's all nice and wide, not cutting off or doing something like this. We're going to go up to align. If you don't have that, just go to Window, Align. And I'm just going to center it like that. And then I also want to center the anchor point. So you can hit the apostrophe key and you can do Control apostrophe and make all the graphs show up. I think you can also do this under view with the grid. And then we're going to grab the anchor point. You can hit Y or go up here and you can grab the anchor point and put it dead in the center. If it's not locking, do Control Shift apostrophe and it should lock to these little green crossing points. And I'll just take away the grids now. Just wanted to make sure the anchor point's right in the middle. Let me just close this and we're going to highlight our text and hit P for position. And we're going to set the position to 1415. And basically at this position, we have just the name perfectly centered in between this rectangle. If you're doing a different one, you just want to make sure it's nice and spaced out. Before we move on with the animation, I want to get the little box around the alive like you could see in the preview. So we're going to go up back to the rectangle tool. Double click it. This time let's take away the stroke and fill it in with white. Let's go down here to the arrow and hold down Control, let it all down. Let's unlink the size here and we're going to set it to 240 by 80. And that should be about the same size as this box, as you can see. While highlighting the rectangle, I'm going to hit P for position. I'm going to go over to the position and I'm going to change it to 1392. And that should be perfectly covering the alive part. Next, you can go over to your mode. If you don't have that, kind of right click in this area and bring up your modes. And with the rectangle over the alive part, we can switch this to difference. And that should, if they're black and white, should make it go right through it like that. And then again, make sure you have parent and link open, again under columns. If not, we're going to grab this pick whip and grab it to the text. And so now it will do whatever the text does. So next we're going to go to the first second and we're going to animate it. So with your position open, select your text and we're going to hit the stopwatch for position. And then we're going to go back 14 frames. and we're going to change it from 540 to 460. This way it's just coming outside of the box, and now it can enter. And at this point, your box around the alive thing should be following it because of the parent. So to make the transition a little smoother, we're going to highlight the first keyframe here and hit F9. That's going to ease it. And then you can go to your graph editor and let's grab this little yellow thing sticking out. And we're going to drag it down till it locks with the orange line here and all the way to the left. And it should have a little whip effect just like that. Okay, so now that we have that, we'll put the motion blur on it. We're going to highlight the box and the text. We're going to hit Control-Shift-C to bring up the pre-composition. Just make sure it's selected like this, hit OK, and then we're going to make sure we rasterize this, which is this little button right here. And it should be looking like this at this point. Okay, so now that we have the animation we like, let's make it where it's hidden with a mask and then it appears in a box. So all we have to do is highlight our box, duplicate it with Control-D. I'm going to put this above our pre-comp, and then we're going to make some adjustments real quick. With this new duplicated layer, we're going to make sure it's highlighted, go up to fill and just fill it in with whatever color. This will be our mask. With it highlighted still, we're going to hit U on the keyboard and just scratch the keyframes there. We're just going to let it sit there. And then we're just going to go down to the track mat here on our pre-comp layer. Again, if you don't have it, it's under columns. And we're going to hit alpha. And now it should be alpha channeled to hide it perfectly and to appear right through the box. Okay, so next we're going to go to the next animation. Let's go to around 408 and we're going to start a keyframe for everything. For both boxes, let's do a size keyframe. So I'll start a new one here and continue a keyframe here for this one. And then for the pre-comp, we're actually going to do position and we're going to start a keyframe for that. So the mask box in the box that you can see should be a size keyframe, and then your text pre-composition should be a position keyframe. And then again, let's go forward 14 frames and we're going to adjust it from here. Let's set both boxes to 9:10. And then what we're going to do is just finish the slide over into the rectangle here. And then you're going to grab your pre-comp text layer and we're going to set it from 960 to 195. And again, should have a nice space in between the letters here to make it fit right in a rectangle. So we're going to highlight all three of these and we're going to hit F9 to ease them. And you should have an animation that looks just like this. So our only step left is to add the gradient, make it look a little more dynamic. Just make sure everything is on motion blur, have all three of these looking like this. Go inside the pre-comp, make sure those are selected and we can move on. So our last step, we're going to go to the effect panel and we're going to get the gradient ramp right here. I'm just going to apply it to the mask and we're going to adjust the ramp positions up here. So you can actually just keep it black and white. That's perfect. So for the start of the ramp, we're going to set that to 1200 by 660. And the second one, we're going to do 1200 by 520. And so you can see both points here are creating a gradient just in this area. Let's grab our gradient ramp up here in the effects. I'm just going to copy it, go down to the other box, Control-V to paste it onto there. And then you don't want to paste it onto the pre-comp because it's going to hide the white box there. So you got to go inside the pre-comp, highlight both of them, add the effect, and there you go. And after you do that, you should have your animation. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos in the future. Mac and I are working on a new series together with traveling, and maybe some more tutorials are on the way. We'll find out. See you next time.